Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Young and the Restless spoilers. See Nick Newman Joshua Morrow facing arrest over a murder and Kane Ashby Billy Flynn seeming to tamper with evidence. We've got the latest Y&R spoilers for the week of July 21st. So, by the end of this week, Damien's murder has everybody on edge, with most people at the chateau suspecting that Kane did the dirty deed and Nick is being framed for it. So, as Y&R ends this week, Nick is still flipping out over the knife being planted in his railcar. And while Jack Abbott Peter Bergman thinks it's insane to even think Nick would do this, Billy Abbott Jason Thompson is not so sure. He thinks it is plausible that his ex-brother Nick might have stabbed Damien Kane Jermaine Rivers. And that's kind of an awful way to think. I mean, I think Victoria Newman Amelia Heinel would be very mad to hear Billy even say that about her brother, Nick. So Nick, of course, thinks that Kane is framing him and is keeping the French police away from the scene of the crime to buy time to clean up and destroy evidence like DNA and stuff. Nick thinks because the cops weren't called and we've just got out of jurisdiction chance they are doing stuff that all the evidence has been corrupted. Maybe it's lost. Clearly things have moved around. And Nick also thinks that Kane absolutely killed Damien. And he's getting upset when Phyllis Summers Michelle Stafford doubts what he is saying, what Nick is saying about Kane that he did it. Then Nick is lashing out, and he's actually accusing Phyllis of basically believing in the other guy for no reason and kind of selling her soul to have this job with Kane. And of course, Sharon Newman Sharon Case is all on Team Nick, all on his side. And Phyllis insists that all Kane got was a broken heart by Lily Winter's Crystal Callel, and he does not deserve these murder accusations. That's making her ex-husband real unhappy. And Nick says that Phyllis is going to sit there and watch her new boss Kane send him to jail for a crime that Nick didn't commit. Then, Phyllis also defended Kane, saying to Nick, "Look, Kane was with me, so he couldn't have been the one who planted the dagger in your railcar." And bottom line, Phyllis doesn't want to fight with Nick, but he's all wound up, and he's being Mr. Poopy Pants, and he stomps away. This is his mode that I call Nick the Stick, where he's got something up his backside. However, in this case, he's justified, because he is being framed for murder. So Sharon's actually being nice to Phyllis, who again says Kane's innocent. She says she could tell he's not guilty just by the look on his face. And Sharon and Phyllis are debating at the end of the week on Young and the Restless who would frame Nick for Damien's murder. Phyllis and Sharon think that the Abbotts and the Winters would not be doing this, so they wouldn't be framing Nick. And in Phyllis's mind, she's thinking that that leaves Sally Spectra Cartney hope. You know, Sharon's talking about Audra Charles Zuleika Silver, and they're talking about the people that work for Kane, including Carter and Amanda Sinclair Miss Hale Morgan. And we know there's some other random staff kicking around. But next week, things are going to get much worse for Nick Newman. So, first of all, his dad, Victor Newman Eric Bredin, is not happy about the framing and all this. And he is grilling Kane's assistant, that sneaky little guy, Carter. Victor is basically accusing Kane of killing Damien and wants to know from Carter if Kane confided in him his plan to murder Damien Kane. And Carter is telling Victor that he would do anything for Kane. But not that. Not what Victor's suggesting. So Nick's dad is clearly very worried about the frame job. And also next week, Carter shows up at Nick's door on the railcar, and he's got a security guard with him. So Nick's not happy and is like telling Carter, "What do you want?" Nick's already mad, and Carter says they are going to place Nick under arrest. Now again, it's just a security guard. So they're calling it house arrest. But with real cops on the way, this could turn into a real arrest. And Carter tells Nick that taking him into custody is for Kane's safety and the peace of mind of the rest of the guests. I don't think any of the other guests are worried Nick's going to murder them. And you know this is not going to go over well with Nick because they're basically coming to his door and saying, "We think you killed Damien, and we think you're still plotting to kill Kane." So, speaking of Lily Winter's ex-husband, Chancellor Connor Floyd and Kane are together reviewing all the security footage from those cameras he's got placed all around the property. And then, when it gets to the location in the maze and the time of the murder, well, there's no footage. Looks like the cameras were turned off or something was deleted. So, Chance wants to know who has access to this area, and Kane's like, me and Carter and Amanda. So, Chance assumes that it's either Carter or Amanda that deleted some of this footage. Kane insists it's not him, because he said the footage would have proved that he's innocent. And based on what we saw in the episode, yeah, it would have. And so, next week, Amanda comes into Kane's office where the camera feeds are. She sees him going back through all the security footage. So, Amanda asks Kane what he's doing. He says he is trying to find the footage. But Amanda is worried that Kane is in there deleting footage that might be evidence. And Amanda tells Kane that's the worst thing he can do. But interestingly, he actually thinks Amanda was the one deleting footage. So that means it could be Carter doing it, since both Amanda and Kane, if they're being truthful, they're telling each other that they're not the ones doing it. And Carter seems like a dodgy dude. Also, there's more danger afoot next week on Young and the Restless. At the end of this week, Chance Chancellor tells Nick that some of the surveillance footage is missing. And of course, Nick totally loses it. Then he says that Kane is manipulating and setting up things. Nick wants Chance to do something. But of course, he's got no jurisdiction. And then Kane walks up on them. Nick promises he's going to get to the bottom of this before. This is important, before someone else is hurt or killed. So there is more danger next week. Somebody is watching other guests and lurking kind of like they were before the attack on Damien. And next week, we're going to see Audra and Lily possibly in danger. But hey, if you haven't seen Friday's episode yet, also just real quick, you know what? Audra is so upset about the murder that she goes to tell Kyle Abbott Michael Mealer that Damien was killed. And guess what? Kyle answers the door, dripping wet in this low-slung towel, all the abs on display, nothing else on. And Audra is acting all scared, which seems legit. She is. But then she tells Kyle that she feels safe with him. And Audra and Kyle start kissing. We knew they were going to cross lines this week. So next week, we'll find out just how far that went. And also next week, Audra Charles is in the maze with Lily Winters, and they hear something and Audra seems really scared, and she's calling out who's there. And she was already scared, before, and then she got that kiss from Kyle that seemed to calm her down. Now she's scared again. The good news is that Audra is in the same dress in these scenes with Lily that she was when she was making out with Kyle. So hopefully that dress stays on and Audra and Kyle don't go further than kissing. We'll see. And be sure and come back tomorrow for our full Young and the Restless weekly spoilers for July 21st through the 25th. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay with us.